Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Let's make it public. Let's make it public. Let's go and put it on Instagram right now so everybody can take a look. How are you beautiful people doing? Hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing well. Welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Terrence. My name is Terrence Bardui. Some people call me H. Some people call me Havis. Some people call me Terrence. Some people call me Mr. Bardui, and some people call me Little Boy. Dominica made me, Boston raised me, now the South sustains me. Lately, we've been having some difficulties with Facebook, trying to make it live as we go. And for some reason, Facebook does not allow us to make it public now. But what can you do? We're going to do the best that we can, and we're going to start the show. What I'm going to do just before we start, we're going to go to YouTube and put it up for some people could see. I'm going to set it up to, let's see, Bardui Financial Services, and then we'll start so that we can go from there. Services. I hope everyone's doing well. Let's see, services. Let's make sure we have it right. Bardui Financial Services. All right, let's try it. Make sure everything comes up great. Tuesdays with Terrence. There we are. We are live. And okay, let me share it so people can watch it. Copy the link, send it to one of my colleagues. They can watch and they can, have fun with it tonight. Hope everyone's doing well. Let me just do this my little what you want to call it. Send it to one of my special clients as well, so they can watch live. Cool. There we go. So let's go to let's see. Just try to get everything going perfect here for us, and as soon we will be able to add it. Let's see, a text and put it on there. I'm going to say I am live, so everybody can watch it. So welcome to Tuesdays with Terrence. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're having a great week. My name is H. Terrence Bardui. Some people call me H. Some people call me Havis. Some people call me Terrence. Some people call me Mr. Bardui, and some people call me Little Boy. If you're from the 767 YT Kubuli, the Commonwealth of Dominica, you call me what? Luka Boy. Dominica made me, Boston raised me, now the South sustains me. So welcome to Tuesdays with Terrence. How is your week going? Is everyone doing well? Is everyone doing good? Let me say hello to everyone in the chat so they can feel a little comfortable here. I'm going to say hello so that everyone can see it in the chat. So they can feel comfortable. Like I said, we've been having some technical difficulties with Facebook. For some reason, it doesn't go live until after we're done. But some people will do it, some people won't do it, but it's okay. It's okay. Let me see on Instagram. Yeah, we're doing fine. We're doing fine on Instagram. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Today, I have a very good show for you. For those of you who are working with your retirements, we're going to talk about 401ks, 403bs, 457, and TSPs, which are the thrift savings plans. We'll talk about the differences. We'll talk about why you need to do in-service with rollovers. We'll talk about why you need to move money if it's just sitting there in a former employer. We'll talk all about that. But just before we do that, though, we play our theme song. I'll take a look at how markets did today. Let's see what markets did today. The Dow was down 204.57. The Nasdaq was down 80.29, and the S&P was down 18.91. So everybody lost a little bit of money today, not a lot. You lost a little bit of money. So welcome to Tuesdays with Terrence. For all of you who are watching, I think one of my colleagues will be watching tonight, and I'll give him a shout out in a little bit. But just before we do that, though, we got to get our theme song. I might strum along for a little bit. Let's get it going so we can start the show, because I want to spend most of the time talking about our subject at hand. So let's get it going here so everyone can take a listen to. Here we go. Get the guitar. Yes.
Dominica made me, that's where it all began. Island breeze, coconut trees, the heart of my plan. From the hills and the smiles to the songs of the sea, that island spirit molded the person I'd be. Boston raised me with its hustle and grind. City lights shining, dreams intertwined. In the heart of this town, I found my way. A licensed financial pro, ready for the fray. On those snowy streets, learn to stand tall, navigating life, every rise, every fall. From the commons to the brownstones, I made my claim. With every lesson learned, I embraced my name. Boston raised me with its hustle and grind. City lights shining, dreams intertwined. In the heart of this town, I found my way. A licensed financial pro, ready for the fray. Now the South sustains me with its warm embrace, a community of strength and love in every space. From the bayous to the beaches, I found my place. In this journey of finance, I've learned to chase grace. Dominica made me, Boston raised me high. The South sustains my soul as I reach for the sky. With every sunrise, I'm thankful and free. A licensed financial pro, just being me. So here's to the roots that shaped who I am. From Dominica's beauty to Boston's Grand Slam. In the South I stand strong with purpose and pride. Together with my journey, side by side.
That's right. Side by side. Dominica made me, Boston raised me, the South sustains me. Good evening, beautiful people. Hope you're doing well tonight. Welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Terrence, Mr. Terry Moore, my colleague and business partner, Miss Peach Goodwill, my colleague and business partner. So welcome to see you guys. I know for my Facebook regular page, for some reason, Facebook does not allow me to show it live anymore, and then I have to make it public afterwards. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to fix it. So actually, this is actually really good. I get to talk, and then if people can look at it later, they can certainly come on. But if you're watching on X, HTB964, if you're watching on Instagram, HTB964, LinkedIn, Havis Bardui, YouTube, Bardui Financial Services, my regular Facebook and my business Facebook page are all the different places where you can see me. So I'm so excited that some people are watching. Let me see if there's anybody on Instagram, I'll give them a shout out. I do see Esme St. John, good evening. And Desby by Fifth, or whoever else is watching, welcome. I'm so excited about tonight. Let's start the show up just right. All right, for those of you who are watching, first of all, if you're working for a company, a municipality, the federal government, or nonprofit, you should have a retirement plan there. Most of them offer it. As a matter of fact, in some states like Maryland, if you have a certain number of employees, they have to offer it to you. So if you're working for the government, it would be the TSP. If you're working for a municipality, it's the 457. And if you're working for a nonprofit or university kind of deal, a 501c, is the 403b, and a private company, more than public companies, the 401ks. And everybody I know, almost everybody I know, have one. I just recently did a in-service rollover for a client for some of her 401k, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I posted that on social media just so people can understand, because actually a classmate of mine asked me and said something to me like, is that comparable to a 403b? And I said, yeah, it's comparable to a 403b. So as we start forward here, let me unlock this and we can start. So basically, when the IRS create these accounts, right, they all have a number. All right. 401 is just the code. K, 43 is the code. B, 457. And for TSP, it's called a thrift savings plan. So there's four what we call pre-tax retirement accounts that one can have. There's four. All right. And the four that you can have, one is the 401k. And we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll go over all of them one by one. Then you have the 43B. And then you have the 457, and you have the thrift savings plan, which we abbreviate and call the TSP. All right. So 401k, 43B, 457, and the TSP. Now, you might say, well, what are the differences? Well, there's a little difference in all of them, but essentially they do the same thing. You put pre-tax dollars into an account that is invested in the market. And then when you reach a certain age, you have to start taking it out, which is age 73. However, I think Congress is trying to push it to 75. And when you get to age 59 and a half, you have some special circumstances, which will we will address in a moment. We will address in a moment. Now, there are some people who may not have a 401k or 43B or 457 or TSP at work. So, they can still do an IRA or a Roth IRA. And the vehicles that you put it in, it doesn't matter. It could be stocks, it could be bonds, it could be a bank account like a money market or a CD. It could be an annuity. There's a plethora of programs you can put your stuff in. And the important thing is knowing which one that you want or which one that you want to protect your funds in. Because check this out. I tell it to everyone. Check this out. If you're making $75,000 a year annually, $75,000, and you contributed about $10,000 to $15,000 a year into that 401k. So if you did 10, your AGI, your adjusted gross income will be 65,000. If it's 15,000, it'll be 60,000. So you're actually paying taxes on 60,000, income taxes, that is. All right. On 60,000 or 65,000, depends on the amount that you're contributing. Because some companies will match also your contributions. They could match your contribution limit. Some companies match up to 3%, some up to 5, 10, some unlimited, but there are thresholds. You can only contribute a certain amount every year into those accounts. They're capped. So that's why you'll hear me talk about other alternatives during this live tonight as well. Okay. So for example, the first one is the 401k. So you say, what's a 401k? It says right here, 401k, for-profit employers have the 401k offered by private sector companies. All right. So if you work for Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, those big companies, or, I don't know, you work for Google, Apple, Tesla, Ford, all those companies, they have what's called a 401ks. All right. So they're offered by private sector companies. Now, tax advantages, there are tax advantages. All right. Contributions are typically pre-taxed. That means you postpone the taxes to a later date. All right. and reducing your taxable income in the year you made. So, like I gave you the example a moment ago, your annual income is 75 grand. You contribute 10,000 to your 401k. Your adjusted gross income is 65 grand. So those are pre-tax dollars. Now, what you're doing is you're not eliminating taxes. Let me make this very clear. A lot of people usually think that they are eliminating taxes. You're actually not eliminating taxes. You're actually postponing taxes. And that may not be a good thing because, those of you who paying attention, the big, beautiful bill, right? Remember that? Because you don't control taxes. Congress does. You see? Congress, there's bills that are created, and then, it has to get approval by the House, and then the president signs it into law, like he did, like I think July 4th or 5th, around that time. Now it's a law, right? And it takes effect, some of it soon, and I think some next year as well. Excuse me. But you don't control those taxes. So why would you want to defer taxes if you can pay it now, right? We'll talk about that later. So that's why people do it. So people say, yeah, I'm saving tax. No, you're not. You're postponing taxes because you don't know what the future holds. You don't know if your tax bracket will be higher. You don't know if taxes will be higher in the future when you're ready to pay it. And with the 401k that we just talked about, as I mentioned, typically pre-taxed, reducing your taxable income in the year they're made. Now, investment tax deferred until retirement. So your contributions, your employer's contributions, and the earnings that you make, they're all growing tax deferred. Remember, there's three kinds of monies. There's tax deferred, there's tax free, and there's taxable. So you just deferring the taxes. You're not eliminating taxes. You're deferring the taxes. All right. That's your 401k. Now, some 401k plans offer a Roth 401k option. Some plans offer that where contributions are made after tax. Qualified withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. So basically, again, like the Roth IRA, you're making after-tax contributions into that, and you pay the taxes first, and then you can access that money in the future tax-free. And it's not a bad thing, because what I tell people is simply this: if your company is giving you free money, take it. But I have a caveat to that. Take up to where they are putting it to. Good evening, Felicia. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. So the company's giving you free money. You take the free money, right? You take the free money up to what they're contributing. If they're contributing more, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. So you want to make sure you look out for that. All right. So the investment options usually offers a range of investments in your 401k, such as mutual funds selected by the employer. So there's usually an administrator, of the plan. Is usually the company, the treasurer of the company, or whomever, the CFO, whomever. And those retirement options that you have, you don't get to select them. They select them. The company selects them, the employer, and then you select which of the ones that they have in the plan. That's where you figure out where your money is going to be. Now, some people start off working at 18 or right out of college, 22 or 23. They have no idea about financial literacy or plans or mutual funds. They don't even know ETFs. They don't know anything from a REIT, real estate investment trust, to stocks, bonds, mutual funds. They don't know anything. So most of the times people, they may ask someone on the job, or but sometimes the companies come through and they give you some not sponsorship, they give advice. They might tell you the different options that you have, but they're not actually making you choose or force you to pick. You get to pick based on your risk tolerance, based on your risk tolerance, that's what you do with your 401k. So the first one we just talked about is 401k, right? So what 401ks again is for profit employers offered by private sector companies, like banks, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Ford, Tesla, Google, Apple, all those companies have 401k plans for their employees. Okay. Now, the second one we're talking about is the 403b plans. Now, a 403b plan, it's again 401k and 403b is just the IRS, the numbers for the codes, it's different codes, so they can differentiate which plan it is. So the 403b plan, it works like a 401k. It's the same thing technically, but they are for public schools and 501c's, like churches. I even think some hospitals might be like that as well. So public schools, private schools. Sometimes the private school falls under a church, so it's a 501c. So the tax exempt organizations, okay, they offer the public schools and certain charities, also churches. So a lot of churches have schools, like the church that I belong to. There's the schools. There's local schools. There's a boarding school. There's K to 12. There's boarding school, and there's universities. All the way up to PhDs and medical degrees. All right. So the public schools and 501c's, tax exempt organizations offered by public schools and certain charities and certain, like churches and so forth. It's like that. Now, the tax advantages is similar to the 401ks. With the 403b, the tax advantages are similar to the 401ks. Okay. Investments grow tax deferred. Just like the 401k, you make contributions and your employer will match them up to a certain amount, 3%, 5%, 10%, whatever that's in their bylaws. Okay. And guess what? Most companies, the big companies, they match. And there's a 403b Roth as well. And those options are also available. So just like the 401k Roth, the 403b Roth does the same thing. Okay, essentially the same thing. Now, the 403b, there are catch-up contributions. All right. It offers special catch-up contributions for individuals age 50 and older. So if you're like my age, I'm 60, and you say, oh my gosh, you're working for a corporation, you can do catch-up contributions, especially if you change jobs or you haven't been working for a while and you do the job because you're closer to retirement. So they allow you to put more. When you're younger, you have a longer horizon. You have 22, 32, 42, 52, 62, you have 40-something years to retirement, if you go straight out of college and go to grad school, 22, 23 years old. So you have catch-up contributions age 50 and older, as well as catch-up contributions for qualifying individuals age 60 to 63, starting in January of this year. In January of 2025, there are qualified individuals, their catch-up in contributions as well in the 403b. Starting January of this year. And the investment options can invest in assets like mutual funds and annuities. Just like, we were talking about the 401k, they do mutual funds, but the 403b can be mutual funds or annuities. As a matter of fact, there's one of the carriers that I write a lot for, do a lot of work with educators in public and private schools. And what they use to fund it is, I should say, they invest in or fund it is actually annuities. And that's a beautiful thing because you have different kind of annuities. You have fixed annuities, you have indexed annuities, and you have variable index annuities. That's in the market, so forth. All right. So that's the 403b. So 401k, they're like kissing cousins. They're very similar. They're very, very similar. It's just the code is different for who if you're working for like I said, a church, or or a public school, or charities, certain charities, you get the 403Bs. If you're working for private sector companies, public companies, you do the 401k. So that is 401k and 403Bs. Now, the next one that we want to talk about is the 457, the 457B. And even like they have the 401k, the 401A, 401B, they're all, similar. They do similarly the same thing. But then you also have the 457Bs. 457. So if you work for a municipality, like county, government entities, sometimes like a state, a municipality, you have the 457. Governmental entities and tax exempt organizations. All right, governmental entities and tax exempt organizations. So offered to state and local governments, and sometimes by certain tax exempt organizations for highly compensated employees. So the 457 for the city of New York, city of Boston, the county of Henrico, the county of Chesterfield, Lancaster County, Greenville, different counties, whatever your county is, or the city you work in, they would have a 457B. All right. So it's similar. I'm looking on Instagram here. So see if there's anybody else I can give them a shout out. So people are watching and listening to what we're talking about. So the 457B, again, is for governmental entities and tax exempt organizations and offered by state governments. And I've been talking about that. I've been those a lot lately because I think, people who are having those programs should know the differences, and they should be able to, if they're a certain age, and I'll talk about that a little bit, that they should contemplate doing what we call an in-service rollover. So for the 457B, the tax advantages are similar to the 401k and the 403Bs. Contributions are typically pre-taxed, right? And investments grow tax deferred. Some plans offer Roth options as well. So you see, they're all like kissing cousins. They all do the same thing. It just depends on where you work. So if you tell me where you work, I can tell you what kind of plan you have. Because one of my high school classmates, I talked about a rollover I did, and I'll talk about it in a little bit. And it was for a 401k. And they said to me, is that like a 403B like I have? And that individual works for a university, and yes, I said to them, yes. And I also said to them, hey, let me help you as well, because you're over 59 and a half. So now this is the difference. With the 401k and the 403B, you have penalty-free withdrawals, right? But listen to this. This is a key difference, unlike the 401k and the 403B plans. You see, 401ks and 403B plans have a 10% penalty if you're under 59 and a half and you get a distribution from it. Now, there are some exemptions. Like I think you can take a loan if you're buying a house, if you, send a kid to school, buy your first home, you have some medical bills, or you have some kind of hardship, you can request, to take some funds without that 10% penalty because you're not age 59 and a half. You see, those are retirement vehicles. And what the government is doing, the reason why they're penalizing you is because the objective is to hold these things until you retire. So that when you retire, your tax bracket is going to change because you're not going to be making as much money you were making anyways, right? So unlike 401ks and 403 plans, the 10% penalty for early withdrawals before age 55 does not apply for the 457B plans. They do not apply. I remember I had a big argument with my brother-in-law about that, and he was 100% correct. There is no, on the 457, there is no 10% penalty before age 59 and a half. All right. And it says that that's if you separate from the plan. All right. So let's say you're working for the Prince George County, PG County, all right, and you're 457 and you're 45 and you know you wanted to take some money and you're no longer working there, you can take some money without the 10% penalty. And the key here is that people have to be careful. If you have a 457 plan and you're rolling it over, you can roll it over to a traditional IRA. You could convert it, but the key here is that making sure that you don't lose your 10%. But if you're over 59 and a half, it really doesn't matter because you have that caveat or that exclusion, I should say. And it says it does not apply to 457 before 59 and a half plans if you're separate from service. So if you're no longer working for the city or the county, you may want to keep some of it in there and put some of it in something guaranteed. You never lose a penny. And those are some of the things you need to know. Your advisor need to know. That's why you got to make sure you know who you're talking to when you are in those situations. You can't just talk to anybody and someone who doesn't know what they're talking about because they could give you bad advice. All right, they could give you bad advice. So moving right along, it says contribution limits. Generally has the same contribution limits as the 401ks, the 457s, just as the 401ks and the 403bs. But contributions to 457s don't reduce the amount you can contribute to other retirement plans you may have. So if you ask me, this is a powerful caveat. Contribution limits generally has the same contribution limits as 401ks and 403bs. But contributions to a 457B don't reduce the amount you can contribute to other plans you may have. So with the 457, you have more leeway. So the 457, it sounds like it's a better plan, but they all do the same thing in terms of pre-tax dollars for the future. Now, also on the 457s, there are special catch-up contributions. It offers a special catch-up contribution if you're within 3 years of your normal retirement age, if allowed by the plan. So if the plan allows it and you're 3 years of your normal retirement age, whatever that is, you can make catch-up contributions to your 457 as well. And some people don't know that. And that's why it's really, 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 really important that you understand the difference between what you have, the advisor who's advising you based on what to do with your retirees. All right. And the last one is the Thrift Savings Plan. We call it TSP. The Thrift Savings Plan. It's called the TSP. You have guys hear me talk about that a lot. All right. The Thrift Savings Plan, the TSP, is for federal government employees and uniformed services members. So if you're in the military or you work for the government, the State Department, you work for the White House, you work for HUD or wherever you have a thrift savings plan. All right. It was established by Congress for federal government employees and members of the uniformed services. All right. Now, the tax advantages offer the same type of savings and tax benefits as 401k plans. So the Thrift Savings Plan offers the same type of savings and tax benefits as a 401k plan. All right. Offers both traditional and pre-tax Roth options. So you can do the traditional or pre-tax or the Roth after-tax contributions that you can access tax-free in the future. And people usually do that. And it depends. That's why when you're advising someone and someone tells you have a plan, you have to consult with them, see what the plan is, call the plan sponsor, the plan administrator, where the plan is, to make sure you know exactly what you have, because you don't want to put something that's non-taxable back into taxable. It makes no sense, right? It makes no sense. So it says here, like I said, offers both traditional and pre-tax options. And the employer contributions, the federal employees covered under the Federal Employees Retirement Systems, which is this FERS, right? Receive agency automatic contributions equal to 1% of their basic pay and agency matching contributions on the first 5% of their basic pay. So there's employer contributions as well, you know, on the thrift savings plan. So it depends. So you got to know what it is you have, or what is you want to, or what you want to do with it. And that's why picking the right advisor when you are in that situation, that they give you the proper advice. And the investment options provides a selection of investment funds, including index mutual funds like C, S, I, and F, and G funds, according to servicing those who serve. So you have options with your thrift savings plan, just like you do with your 457, your TSP, and also your 401k plan. But the key is, are you aware of what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? So check this out. In summary, I just gave you 4 plans. I just talked about a 401k plan, private companies, right? Bank of America, Ford, Apple. 403B plans, churches, a lot of hospitals that are owned, 501c corporations, those kinds. Also, certain charities. All right. Then we talk about the 457 municipalities. You work for a state or a county or governmental agency within a county or a state. Within those kinds is the 457s. And we learned about the TSP, the thrift saving plans for, those enlisted and also for those federal employees. Now, in summary, folks, the primary difference lies in the type of employer offering the plan. In summary, the primary difference lies in the type of employer offering the plan. 401ks are for private sector workers, like I just said. 403bs are for public schools and nonprofit employees. 457s, like I said, are for local government employees and sometimes selected tax-exempt organizations and employees. And the TSPs, the thrift savings plans, are for federal employees and uniformed services members. While they all get the benefit of tax advantage retirement savings, there are some differences in catch-up contributions, rules, and early withdrawal penalties. So it's really, really important that you know what you have, who's advising you, and what to do. Now, recently, I think last week, on July 3rd, I ran into one of my clients at a concert. I said, we need to talk. And I was supposed to call him the following week, but I waited a few weeks and I texted him. I said, hey, remember what we did for you? We did an in-service rollover because this client was over 59 and a half and they work for a private company. And we moved some of their funds, a large amount. And then for 5 years, they built up more. And then, because they're closer to retirement, what we did another in-service rollover of their 401k. I posted it on my page and some of you guys saw it. And guess what? That client now, they're securing their retirement because this individual is maybe 2 to 3 years away from retirement. So they do not want to take the risk that they were taking for the last 40 years they've been working, right? They want to make sure that it's protected. And that's what I do. I'm the safe money guy. I protect your retirement savings. I can guarantee you in your retirement savings that you will never, ever lose a penny. You can't say that with your 457, that's in those funds, the TSP, in those different funds I just mentioned, those index funds I mentioned, the 403B and the 401k. There's no guarantees. I'm looking at one of my friends' 401ks right now. Excuse me. And I'm looking at it. I'm pulling it up real quickly. And their 401k, as of the close of business yesterday, not today, yesterday, um, they are at, let's see, let's try it again real quickly. Make sure, do the face recognition. There it is. It's coming. All right. They're at $251,683.57. $251,683.57. But guess what? We looked at the markets, right? Most of their, about 90 to 95% of their investments in NASDAQ, right? Tech stocks. So it was down 80.29. So they've lost some. The Dow Jones was down 204.57, and the S&P was down 18.91. So they probably lost between $500 and $1,000. But guess what? This person has another probably almost 10 years to work. So they're taking some risk. But now this individual, when they work, their company does not allow them to do an in-service rollovers. And I've noticed I have multiple clients, and this person is not a client, it's just a friend. I have multiple clients who work for hospitals, and hospitals are notorious for not allowing the clients to do the in-service rollover. And I think that's a travesty. I think Congress should force them to do that, because you cannot control someone's funds after they're 59 and a half when they say you can do in-service rollovers. But that's the plan restrictions. What you going to do? Fight the plan? No, you can't fight the plan, because that plan, it's voluntary. I recommend everyone do it. If you are working for a company and they offer it, take the free money up to the match. Take the free money up to the match. I don't believe you should do a penny more than the match. You know why? The reason why I say that, folks, and a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people don't understand this, right? What they don't understand is the match is free money. So why defer more money just to pay taxes on it later when you can put it in a tax-free retirement concept? And that's something else I haven't talked about. There's a great book I'm going to recommend for you all to take a look at. All right. And I have many copies. I've given these books to so many clients, but now you can go online and get one on Amazon. It's called Tax-Free Retirement. It's by a gentleman called Patrick Kelly. See it? Tax-Free Retirement, Patrick Kelly. I highly recommend that book. And what I'm talking about is not talking about your 401k, your 403b, your 457, your TSP. We're talking about something totally different that you can use that is totally tax-free. And it's still better than a Roth. You know why? Because you can put unlimited in there. There's no cap. You see, all the four that I talked about, the 401k, the 403b, the 457, and the TSP, they have caps. Even though you have catch-up contributions, there are caps. And I'm not going to get into what the caps are, because if someone is interested and they reach out to me, we have to find out what your age is, where you are, and we can talk about that. And you can, if you want to get in touch with me, you can certainly do that. But what I'm saying to you guys is you have caps. But with a tax-free retirement strategy or option, there is no cap on how much you can put away. So if you're a high income earner, there are some people who are monetizing their social media, right? Now, some people use it to pay bills, some people are using it to live off, but some people are doing very well on it. I was watching a skit today on social media. Now, this guy is above everybody because he's a multi-millionaire. But Country Wayne, he has about almost 10 million followers on Facebook. That's just Facebook, on one of his pages. So obviously he's monetizing that. So you can imagine the money he's making. So I always believe that people, athletes, entertainers, rappers, people who make high income, and even people who in who have work in industry or corporate America who are making high incomes. You have options that your employers are not offering. And that's why I tell people, if you want to learn financial literacy, you can't stay in a box. I worked in corporate America, I worked in HR. I understand all those concepts. I do. But people like my client, I was just talking about a little while ago, they know, she knew that this is what she told me yesterday. She says, I know what I know, and I don't know this, but I know you know it. And it's so funny. This is one of the greatest compliments I can get. I got a text. I told my client today, I said to them, basically, because yesterday my client said, hey, receive the check today. I'll be in the office tomorrow. I said, I'm over now. Then I went to their home. I'm outside, right? Today, I send them a copy of the FedEx because I FedEx the check to the carrier that we are going to help them with, right? Now, I said the check is in the mail to the company and they should receive it tomorrow, right? And he says, okay, cool. Thanks, Terrence, for all that you do, with the heart and a laugh out loud. And I felt so good, man. I said, oh, I make me feel like the greatest. And I call the person's name. I say, I love it. The point I'm trying to make here, this individual, right? I've told that, and they'll probably see this because I'm going to send it to them. I've told them, like when I first met them, I didn't really believe they were going to become my client. But this client trusts me explicitly. And it was a referral from a sister. And the funny thing about it is this, right? The funny thing about it is this. I told her, if I got 3 to 5 clients like you, I'd be living large. Because she listens. She knows that she don't know what she knows. She knows that I'm a trusted advisor. And she knows I have a best interest at heart. So she has income protection. She has debt. She did a get out of debt with a debt elimination. And she has legacy creation. If God forbid something happens to her, her son and her grandkid will be living large. I don't want anything to happen to her. I hope she lives to be 120 and enjoy some of the fruits of her labor. But the point I'm trying to make here, folks, is simply this. Make sure you align yourself with the right advisor that can help you navigate your retirement. There's too many people that I know who think they know so much. And you know what? I was asking them about someone that they knew, and they said they told someone on their job. And one of the funny things about it, what I don't like know-it-alls. Clients, the people who know everything, like me. I don't know how to fix cars. I don't know how to do construction. I don't know how to put sheet metal, sheet rock. I don't know none of that stuff. HVAC. I don't know how to fix none of that. But I know how to protect what you have. And that's what I do. I take great pride in this. Great pride. And for some of you tonight, for those of you who go back and watch this again, this is a great training video you can share with your friends, if you're an advisor like me, your clients, so they know the different. You can go to YouTube, because usually the Facebook ones, after a certain number of days, they remove them, but it's always on YouTube. Bardouille Financial Services, that's my YouTube channel. Bardouille Financial Services. Right now I'm streaming live on Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, my personal page, Havens Bardouille, and my business page, Bardouille Financial Services, and YouTube. So about 8, two Instagrams, 2 Facebooks, X, uh, LinkedIn, and a YouTuber. 8 ways. And what is it? Excuse me, that I admire. Okay, the company won't let them move it, and they at the age of an in-service would roll over. I'm so ticked off. So I'm reaching out to all my clients who I know who are of certain ages and saying to them, hey, if you have a 401k or 43B, let me help you. And what I do, I don't chase you. I don't bother you. I just want you to know, like I was just talking about my client a little while ago, that's my A1 client. Never calls me for nothing. If they need me, they know how to find me. And they've never lost a penny, ever. Easy does it. When the market's rough, you stay there. When the market's doing good, you grow incrementally. But you've worked too hard all these years to be taking all this risk at this stage of your career or this stage of your life. And it's paramount that you understand how this concept works with the different options that you have for retirement. So you want to get in touch with me, you know how to get in touch with me. You can see my stuff scrolling at the bottom. My phone number is there. You have additional questions. The reason I don't want to answer questions on these type of forums is because I have to ask you personal information. And people can see who you are. Well, you get on my calendar, you get on my schedule. We do a one-on-one, either virtually or in person. And we talk about, where you are, what you're trying to do, where you want to be, and how I can help you. And I can show you different ways to protect what you've been working for all these years. I know someone right now with over almost 800,000 in their retirement plan, another one of over $1 million. And I've reached out to them. They've reached out to me. But the thing about it is they're not yet ready, or I don't know. For example, the key is simply this, and I'm going to say this. A lot of people are no longer working for an entity, but they have their retirement money there. And I don't understand it. Why? It's like an oxymoron. Why would you do that? Why? Take control of what you have. You're no longer there. You have no obligation to them. And you can only put it into what they have. So why don't you take this time to reflect where you are if you have retirement accounts from your former jobs, 401ks, 403bs, 457s, or TSPs. Take an inventory. You want to stay in the market? You could. But you need to protect some of your monies. And that's what I do. Like I told you, I'm the safe money guy. I'm the safe money guy. And I take great pride in advising, educating, pontificating, showing, teaching. I take great pride in that, and I enjoy it. It gives me great joy. Great joy. So tonight, this Tuesdays with Terrence was about the 4 different types of retirement plans offered in the mainstream. If you work for the government, a municipality, or a state, a private company, or a school, or certain charities, certain hospitals. 4, the 401k, the 43B, the 457, and the TSPs. Remember the 401k and the 403B, and you can get them in Roths and the 457 as well. If you're between ages, 50 and over, 55 and over, some ages 60 to 63, you can make catch-up contributions. But I keep telling people, learn about tax-free retirement strategies as well, using a different program. You're like, well, what program is it? Well, let's schedule a one-on-one, and I'll explain it to you. I'll show you. And with that program, when you retire, You can't make contributions to your 401k or your 43B or your 457 or your IRA because you haven't got an income. What if you got an inheritance? What if you hit the lottery? What if, you married a rich woman or a rich guy and they start pumping money on you? What if money start falling from, a business venture that you started? Where are you going to put that money? You're going to put it back into a taxable program? That's not wise. In the news, we're talking about Epstein, right? You know what his claim of fame was before, all that foolishness he did and the wickedness he did as a pedophile? He was, this one guy, I think it was Leon Black was his name, paid him $175 million to show him tax-free strategies. Now, those people are not my clients. But if wealthy people are paying millions of dollars for advice, why won't the average Joe who don't know and think they know and don't have to pay for the advice take advice from someone who's licensed? Remember my theme song? I'm a licensed financial pro, ready for the fray. The fray is you, your business. That's what I do, man. So listen, folks, the show is called Tuesdays with Terrence. My name is H. Terrence Bardui. Some people call me H. Some people call me Havis. Some people call me Terrence. Some people call me Mr. Bardui, and some people call me Little Boy. If you're from the 767, Whitey Kubuli, the Commonwealth of Dominica, tall is her body, you call me Luku Boy from the village of Point Michel, aka La Pointe. Dominica made me, Boston raised me, now the South sustains me. And tonight, what I did was I just educated you on the different retirement options that you have working mainstream here in the United States. My agency, we take great pride in educating. I take great pride in teaching. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Share the live. It's going to be on Facebook, public on Facebook in a minute. It's a great one to share for your family and friends. And if you're an advisor like me, your family and friends are not going to call me. They call you. All right? So I want to thank you so much tonight for tuning in. Special thank you to Felicia, Lisa Starr, Terry Moore, my business partner and accountability partner, and Peaches Goodwill, my business partner and accountability partner as well. They're always looking out for me, give me great advice. I thank you all so much for that. I just want you to know that don't make too late be your cry. On that note, we close. All right, we play our theme song. License. Here we go. I'll strum along for you. Yeah.
Dominica made me, that's where it all began. Island breeze, coconut trees, the heart of my plan. From the hills and the smiles to the songs of the sea, that island spirit molded the person I'd be. Boston raised me with its hustle and grind. City lights shining, dreams intertwined. In the heart of this town, I found my way. A licensed financial pro, ready for the fray. On those snowy streets, learn to stand tall, navigating life, every rise, every fall. From the commons to the brownstones, I made my claim. With every lesson learned, I embrace my name. Boston raised me with its hustle and grind. City lights shining, dreams intertwined. In the heart of this town, I found my way. A licensed financial pro, ready for the fray. With its warm embrace, a community of strength and love in every space. From the bayous to the beaches, I found my place. In this journey of finance, I've learned to chase grace.
Chase grace.
Dominica made me, Boston raised me high. The South sustains my soul as I reach for the sky. With every sunrise, I'm thankful and free. A licensed financial pro, just me and me. So here's to the roots that shaped who I am. From Dominica's beauty to Boston's Grand Slam. In the South I stand strong with purpose and pride. Together with my journey, side by side.
Good night, everybody. God bless you. Tuesdays with Terrence. Share it with somebody. Peace until next week when we meet again. Thank you for tuning in. Make it a good night. I appreciate your support. God bless you. Hasta la vista, babies. Out.